and welcome to the Magical Parenting Podcast. I'm Cristina Tumino, a holistic educator and the founder of the Magical Parenting Method, where I can provide you with a unique recipe to raise happy and fulfilled children. In this episode, we'll explore the mental body. Things like reasoning, thinking, understanding, memorizing, and classifying information, just to name a few, are all abilities mainly related to the intellect and the mind. I find it fascinating how we build intelligence, formulate thoughts, make sense of things, and come up with brilliant ideas. Dr. Maria Montessori believed that we start to build intelligence through discrimination and order. With her empirical approach, she observed that when young children find something that kindles their curiosity, they use their senses like sight or touching, etc., to collect information. Then they try to distinguish any differences to make some sort of sense in their brain. She maintained that intelligence is the ability to discriminate. The more we can distinguish, the richer we are intellectually. Intelligence shouldn't be confused with knowledge, though. How many times have you heard or said, "You are so clever"? I noticed most people use this expression mistakenly to refer to knowledge rather than intelligence. For instance, a person well articulated in a particular subject, such as identifying and explaining the infinitive form of a verb, or someone that can explain how the immune system works, is a knowledgeable person, is expressing information that is gathered throughout life. And what about thoughts and ideas? I think it will be interesting to explore thoughts and the mental body by looking at some symbolisms and beliefs of ancient cultures, as they give a different perspective and insights. Let's revisit the 4 elements symbology. While emotions are generally associated with water, thoughts and ideas are associated with air. This is because of their abstract, invisible, moving, and volatile quality. Thoughts don't just reside in the mind. They can pop into our heads. They can help us reasoning, build principles and beliefs. They can be visions or illusions. They can help us solve problems or restrict us into negativity, frustrations, and internal conflicts. They can be very powerful indeed. Air has weight and takes space with its invisible mass. The same do thoughts filling up our heads, whether they are positive, negative, or random. One of air's components is gas, and thoughts can fluctuate with no direction like gases do. We could spend a whole day or even weeks thinking of a particular situation without getting to the bottom of things, or having ideas for a project that never materializes. And this is what happens, for instance, in some company meetings where great discussions and ideas take place intending to improve the overall business, but not much is delivered eventually. In these cases, these ideas stay there in the air. Because of thoughts' abstract nature, they need to transform into something and materialize in some way. They can become uttered words that vibrate from the vowel cords, creating a new, more concrete energy. They can become written words where we can see them. We can see these thoughts in a more concrete, defined form. Thoughts can also become plans or actions. Materializing thoughts is important. In fact, talking about our thoughts, problems, anxieties, or emotions with a friend or a psychologist can help us bring more clarity and feel less heavy. This process helps us to make some order and room in our heads. The same happens when we put into action our ideas, so that a project can come to fruition. Ideas, more specifically, can also be seen as a kind of thought that we grasp from the universe. They fluctuate in the air, waiting for someone to connect with them, so then they can be born. Have you ever been in that genius moment or had that feeling of almost physically seizing an idea, a vision, a verse, a drawing, and you have to hurry up to write it down or to make a sketch so you don't miss it? Or when you are immersed in the flow of something, like connected to it, and you just allow it to materialize as it comes. Romans and Greeks believe that we individuals don't formulate ideas. Merely we perceive their presence and we seize them. We then add to them our unique personality, our way of thinking, our beliefs, our experiences, and then we express them by becoming a book, a piece of art, an invention, a speech, or a solution. So far, we have discussed intelligence, knowledge, thoughts, and ideas. However, the mind is much more than this. With the mind, we can acquire consciousness. We can learn skills, make sense of things, and grow. Creativity is very important when it comes to developing our mental body. We are all born creative. When children start to use their creativity and we support it, they can begin to solve problems. They find links and make further order and clarity in their heads. This mostly leads to critical thinking because children begin to form their own judgments. They find solutions, they create understanding, they come to personal conclusions, and they can express themselves in their unique way. During this incredible and powerful process, freedom and curiosity are key factors. This is how real learning takes place and how we keep the love for learning and discovery vibrant in human beings. It is when we have the freedom to explore and follow our curiosity that magic happens. A child starts indeed to concentrate. And concentration is very important to build intelligence. Curiosity and interest are crucial in education. They can lead to passions, deep understanding, change, and growth. In fact, children need to have the freedom to explore and spend as much as instinctively necessary on something they find interesting. They need freedom from making mistakes and independently making amendments, even freedom of moving while learning, as Montessori claimed. Curiosity and interests are led by our soul, our best guide. And this is how we can connect our physical, emotional, spiritual bodies with the mind harmoniously and uniquely, finding more meaning and fulfillment in life. To note, though, that these freedoms need to work together with boundaries, following rules, and discipline. There is much more I can say about the mental body, but something important to mention here is that in order to have a balanced, healthy mind, we need to be able to reason. We need to find the right balance between outer knowledge with our current understanding of how things work in this tangible world and that we perceive with our senses, and the inner knowledge that comes from within. I do talk about these two knowledges in another episode. The mind's duty is to link these two kinds of knowledges through reasoning. And this is to bring personal and relevant understanding, to bring awareness, for instance, on our emotions, to create, to imagine, to learn, and to grow. In the learning process, we're not really taught anything in the way we usually believe we do. In fact, this is not something that is normally supported in standardized education like in schools, as many might think. In this respect, Socrates maintained in his book, The Republic, I cannot teach anybody anything, I can only make them think. I already mentioned this in another episode, but these words are so important because he explained and showed that true learning is a very personal experience. Learning, authentic learning, happens when the student is engaged, is interested, and is ready to learn. And this is why even the most willing, knowledgeable, and loving teacher or parent can struggle and feel extremely frustrated when teaching to someone who is not engaged or ready to learn or curious or cannot find personally relevant the information that is shown. Little or no reasoning skills and the predominance of the outer knowledge can easily lead to disconnection from the self and create big imbalances. This is often the person who claims to know all the answers, while in reality, this person is only repeating opinions or what experts say or consider beliefs as absolute truths. But experts of yesterday said the earth was flat. And the cigarettes were good for our health. And this is how we can become narrow-minded, arrogant, be all talk and little action. We leave insufficient room for real understanding. A highly developed mind can also be the result of too many ideas and thoughts in our heads. When we mostly live in our minds and are absorbing thoughts, we tend to act less. We disconnect from others. We could be too rational and perhaps have little empathy or struggle with expressing our feelings and emotions. As mentioned previously, air needs to flow to be transformed, to be productive and fulfill its purpose. Reasoning and learning are about finding our own answers, are about making mistakes, learning lessons, and coming to conclusions that create new personal beliefs. It is about constantly searching for truth with capital T in a quest for growth and enlightenment. We should be all scientists in that sense. We should never stop questioning things and considering findings as relative truths. We should welcome different opinions and search for more challenging and opposite views because this is how we grow and learn. Socrates, who was always seeking the truth, was considered a wise man. Wisdom comes indeed from a continual search for knowledge. He used to say that a wise man knows that he knows nothing. But what knowledge and truth he refers to? Well, here we will start to tap into the spiritual body, and that will be the topic of my next episode. So stay tuned and don't forget to subscribe. Bye!